Hello everyone, welcome to the next video in my warrior tanking series. So today we are going to tackle Brayflox Longstop, which is the, I believe, level 32 dungeon. Yep, level 32. This dungeon is pretty simple. This dungeon is one of the very few dungeons that have 4 bosses instead of the normal 3. Doesn't mean that they're necessarily easier, but they're also not difficult at the same time, so. Alright, so very first thing we need to do, Defiance. Get our tank stands going. Alright, so we have Cassie and Rumor joining us again. Rumor on Astrologian as always, or at least on a healer as always. And we have Rumor on Machinist this time, which is a bit of a rarity. So now that we have our tank stance, it's going to be significantly easier to keep aggro on all of the enemies. Basically, you can just rotate between Heavy Swing, Skull Thunder, and Butcher's Block, the tank combo, and overpower every once in a while. Also remember that at this level we have Thrill of Battle, which adds, I believe it's 10% of our overall maximum HP. 20% of our maximum HP, which is really nice. Unfortunately, at level 35, we do not gain any, or at level 34, which is where we're synced to, we do not gain any new abilities that we had in Hawk Manor. So in terms of the actual tanking experience, it's going to go relatively similar. So you have to run up that hill there, and there's an NPC you talk to get the Run Stop Headgate key. And that key is going to be needed to open this door over here, the Run Stop Headgate. So the reason there are 4 bosses in this dungeon is because they're, well, I'm sorry, let me restructure this. We have 4 bosses in this dungeon because of the way it's structured. So this little pull that we have right here is actually the last thing we have to do before the first boss. The first boss is right there, as you can see. So yeah, I mean, we barely did anything and we're already at the first boss. Whoops, lost that girl, he's almost dead, so just, yeah. Anyway. So there's 4 bosses, but there's a lot less in between the bosses. Like in between the first and second boss, again, almost nothing. There's like 1 pull. Then there are 2 pulls, I believe, in between the second and third boss, and then 2 pulls in between the third and fourth. So it balances out. Got backer off that guy. Alright. This boss is really simple. The actual Great Yellow Pelican is the actual boss himself. He does almost nothing. I mean, he has a conal AoE, which he'll use every once in a while. But besides that, he does almost nothing. So basically, you just tank him. Using Maim every once in a while so we get that slashing debuff on him. I guess it's slashing resistance down is its official name. So I actually just noticed that both of our DPS are machinists. Pretty interesting. In fact, 2 machinists and Cassie being our Astrologian means that 3 of the 4 classes in this dungeon are Heavensward exclusive. So kind of interesting. If only I would have played Dark Knight. Then we could represent the entirety of the Heavensward jobs in this one dungeon. Oh well. Maybe at some point I'll do a Dark Knight guide or dungeon playthrough series, whatever you'd like to call it. Guy's dying a little more slowly than I remember, but that's fine. So I'm just going to ignore those ads because they're not going to be able to do enough damage before the boss is dead. The DPS stopped attacking though, which is a little weird, but... onwards we go. So we're just going to have this one enemy right here. And then right here we have two enemies. And we can go ahead and pull these guys too. Go ahead and get a couple more overpowers out. Just make sure I have enough aggro. And then I'm just going to cycle between them all and use one aggro gaining move per enemy, usually, until I establish aggro on everything. Just to make sure that they don't attack my party members, because that would be bad. Excuse me, that'd be very bad. So despite this dungeon having 4 bosses, this dungeon is actually pretty quick. It's not as long as you'd possibly think. Like, oh, well, the normal 3 boss dungeon is generally around 20 minutes on average. But no, this dungeon is actually not longer than 20 minutes. It's just about the same time, actually. So here we are already at the second boss, Inferno Drake. Didn't take long, did it? We're less than 7 minutes in and we're already on the second boss. So yeah, that's just how this dungeon works. This boss is extremely simple. This guy literally only has one attack. Besides his auto attack, I mean, he's got this conal AoE, which he hasn't even used yet. A little ways into the fight, this Tempest Bias is going to spawn. And right now, we can't actually take aggro because Brayflox has a certain coding mechanism where they will keep aggro the entire time until right now. Now I will get aggro. And usually it's smarter just to focus down the bias. And you know, I said that the Inferno Drake had a conal AoE, but actually still haven't seen it, so I'm starting to think maybe he does not actually have a conal AoE. Oops. Did not mean to do that. Gobby boom. So yeah, Brayflox is actually helping you destroy this guy. At points though, he will overwrite your aggro and take it no matter what. Like if you look in the table on the top left, it'll show I have a 1 and not an A. Like I said before, if you have an A, that means you have aggro. So, and if you have a 1 and no one in your party has an A, it means that something or someone outside of your party has the aggro. So during that period of time, I actually did not have aggro. But that's just how that little point works. And see, there he goes again. Taking aggro. It's a little annoying, but at the same time, I mean, he's not gonna die. So it doesn't really matter. I know the game makes it look like he can die, but he really can't. I mean, even if he had aggro the entire fight, he wouldn't die. And I have never once seen him die, so I don't even think it's possible. Alright, second boss down, and we move on to the next set of trash pulls. So this little area can actually be a real struggle for inexperienced tanks. The way I like to do it is just to sort of run through this water on the right side. And what I'll do is I'll pull the first 2 groups and then run back. I pull them back because there's another group that's extremely close by over there. You can already see them. If you accidentally pull them, you're going to wipe. So you can only pull a maximum of 2 of these groups. And since that second group is really close, I usually just use Tomahawk or, you know, Shield Lob if you're on Paladin, on Mend if you're on Dark Knight. Just your ranged attack that will take them over to you. I didn't even have to do that because they saw me ahead of time and came on over. But yeah, I dragged them backwards because sometimes moving around a lot as you're tanking, you'll accidentally pull aggro from that next group, and that will spell disaster for you and your party. So definitely not a good idea to do that. So I just kind of bring them over here to this little alcove. It's really easy to dodge attacks. It's really far out of the way. Those guys will not aggro us from over here. And it's safe. So we can just work these guys down at our own pace. And we're almost finished here. And done. Alright, so now we can pull this group and the group after it. Whoops, that did not work. Alright. Actually immediately went for that DPS over there, so I couldn't even use my attack. So yeah, for this dungeon and the previous dungeon, Hawk Manor, unfortunately we were not able to actually utilize the beast gauge, which is what you see on the bottom right of the screen there. The beast gauge definitely comes into use after this dungeon though. Starting at level 35, we can use this ability called Steel Cyclone, and we're really going to be using that a lot, trust me. Steel Cyclone not only is an AoE aggro gaining ability, it actually has a really wide radius, but at the same time it also heals you for a percentage of the damage you deal. So it is a very nice skill to have. Very nice. And then after that we'll gain access to Inner Beast, which is another great move, but I don't really use it all that often, honestly. I feel it has a lot less use than Steel Cyclone. I feel that basically Inner Beast is best used on bosses, while as Steel Cyclone is best used literally everywhere else. But here we are to the third boss, Hellbender. This guy only really has two mechanics. One is Bog Bomb, and the other is Eerie Light. So Eerie Light is just that big AoE there, just move away from him. Really simple to dodge. And he'll use Bog Bomb in a second. It targets a random party member. Oh, and Stagnant Spray, I forgot about that one. It's just another conal AoE you can dodge. So now he put a queer bubble over there on, he does that to a random party member other than the tank. They can't attack the boss while on that form, so they just have to take the bubble down. Usually the other DPS, or both the DPS, will take care of the bubble if it's the healer that gets it. The tank can just focus on the boss. That's what I'm gonna do, just focus on the boss. Oops. Looks like all my retainers just finished their ventures. Yay. Been sending them out. Excuse me. I've been sending them out for materials a lot recently. So yeah, that just happened. A dragon just fell out of the sky. Itar. So now we're fighting this guy. Although this is not a full boss fight, so I'm not going to go into mechanics right now. You literally only fight him until he gets up to 70%, and then it's over. That guy will be the final boss, but we don't fight him for real until, we get to the final boss area, which is right up here. And we're gonna head there. That was the third boss. We have, usually I do 2 pulls here, but since we have Cassie, I think I'm gonna just do 1. I think we can handle 1. Cassie's a good healer. Alright, grab them all. I'm just gonna do another one for safety. Grab these 3 guys. Usually I would stop there, but since we've got Cassie, I'm gonna go ahead and try pulling all 8 of these guys. Let's see what happens. Could go badly, but I'm hoping for something good. Pushing the envelope a little bit. So doing pulls this big at the level 50 plus dungeons usually isn't that big of a deal, but in these beginning dungeons you don't really have a lot of stats, as you can see. So it can be a bit of a struggle sometimes to pull really big like this. Plus just the way that the Realm Reborn dungeons work in the first place can really be a struggle if you try and pull really big. But as you can see, we handled that just fine. Now we're down to 4 enemies, and it's still falling 3 enemies, 2 enemies. See, we could handle it. I knew we could. And there we go. That's it. Now the final boss. So as you can see, there are 4 bosses, so it's like, this is weird. 4 bosses instead of 3? Well, shouldn't that be a longer dungeon? Nope, not really. They basically just replaced some of the trash that you would have normally killed in between bosses and just tacked on a 4th boss, essentially. So in terms of length, it's really no different than any other regular dungeon. This guy has one main mechanic besides the 2 mechanics I've been dodging so far, which he's going to use here in just a moment. And it can make this boss kind of annoying if your party members don't distribute it correctly, which you'll see. There he goes, Toxic Vomit. He targets a random party member, which includes the tank. The tank can be hit. He targeted Rumor over there, and as you can see, he dropped a pile of, like, acid over there. It's basically, like, if you stand in it, you'll take constant damage, plus the boss will heal itself if the boss is standing in it. And now it hit Cassie, so as you can see, the ideal way for this to happen is if you get targeted, you want to be standing far enough away so that it won't require us to move the boss. Since we have 3 ranged people in the party other than me, as long as it targets one of them, it shouldn't ever hit the boss. We shouldn't ever have to move. Now if it targets me, we're going to have to move it because I'm melee and I won't be able to move away fast enough. But we'll see if that even happens, because a lot of the times he won't even target the tank. So yeah, he's just been targeting them over and over. I haven't had to move at all. Wow, this is actually pretty nice. And the LB. He finally hit me with that attack. I didn't even know if he was gonna do it. It took him a long time. Alright, I'm actually on my last row of Wondrous Tales. Ooh, look at that luck. Look at that luck. There was only one spot that would have helped me anymore and I got it. I got 2 stars. Hell yeah. That is nice. I very rarely get 2 stars. Most of the time I don't even get 1 star, actually. Nice. Of course, everyone wants the 3-star stuff because the 3-star stuff is extremely good. But, yeah. 2 platinum cards, that's 100k MGP. I am taking that. Heck yeah. That was nice. I should probably roll in this gear. He's waiting on it. I'm sorry, dude. But yeah, that was really nice. We even got the comm. Yay. So yeah, that dungeon had 4 bosses, which made it a little different, but it still wasn't difficult. Except for maybe in between the 2nd and 3rd bosses. Those trash pulls can be a little difficult if you accidentally pull too much. But just be careful there and you should be fine. Alright, well that concludes Brayflox Longstop, and in the next video I'm going to tackle the Sunken Temple of Karn, which is a very frustrating dungeon for newcomers for a few reasons, and I'll go over all of them as we go through that dungeon together. But for now, I'm going to wrap up this video, so thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care.